with Coca-Cola, the drink of togetherness.
Hello and welcome to The Breakdown. You're on ThePapare.com. You're on the penultimate week of the Singers Schools League 2019, and what an entertaining week it was. Let's look back at the results. Three big trophy games to be decided the last weekend, and boy were they decided. Royal College took on Isipatana, and Isipatana led 6-0 for the first few minutes of that game, and then Royal College coming back as they want to do in the second half of that game. 19 points to 6 it finished, and Royal winning the Major Milroy Fernando Trophy. And then of course we had St. Thomas's, who took on Trinity College at home at Mount Lavinia for the Canon Irish Desarum Shield, and Trinity coming back in the second half to win that game as well, 17 points to 11. Then we have St. Peter's, who hosted St. Joseph's in the Father Basil Veeratunga Trophy, and what a game that was, because it was also a decider for the league, and it did decide some ways in which the league could go. There were three teams that were in it at the start of the weekend, now just two teams as a result of St. Joseph's heartbreaking loss in the final minute, 23 points to 21. What a brilliant comeback for St. Peter's in that game. Science College 26 against Wesley's 21, the upset of the week. Lots to talk about this weekend, of course, and what big games there were. Let's talk about St. Joseph's versus St. Peter's first. At Bambalapitiya, St. Peter's emerging victors with a last-gasp penalty. Tenuka Nanayakara was tasked with this same thing in the first match against St. Thomas's, and he missed by a whisker and ended up losing the only game that they have lost this season. And this time he was tasked with yet another last-minute penalty for the win. And this was under the post, though, and it was probably the easiest kick he's taken in his life to win a game. And it was how they ended up winning 23 points to 21 after trailing 21-20 right up to the 74th minute of that 75-minute game. It was a terrible error by St. Joseph's, who had been doing the right things right up to that game. They had scored the points, they had got ahead in that game, and looked like all they had to do was close it out. They were lucky that they had a scrum under the posts as well, and all they needed to do was to go to the right side through Tarindudi Alves, break on the blind side, and make sure that he set up that ruck as he had been doing all game, as he had been doing all season. In fact, he just needed to set that ruck up, which he had been doing so well. Santosh Algame in the pocket, a little closer to the touchline, and he kicks it out, and the game is over. That's all St. Joseph's needed to do. But they had a bit of a rush of blood, and Taridu Maduranga, probably feeling that he hadn't contributed as much in this game, made a couple of tackles and almost was lucky to stay on the field given a high hit earlier on in the game, but probably felt he hadn't done enough. And I don't know who called this move, but they called the move to him. He went under the posts and he got isolated. There was nobody going in after him. Shehan Iranda, who had a superb game up till that point, didn't get to the breakdown in time. Santosh Algama didn't follow through in time. Of course, he couldn't, because he was the clearing player, and he was a player to clear the ball rather, and nobody got through to clean out for him. The St. Peter's went over the ball, superb technique from them, won the penalty and knocked it over, and the rest, as they say, is history. So St. Joseph's have played really well up to that point. They scored some good tries, some superb 8-9-14 move, giving them the lead at halftime, but in the end it wasn't enough for them, because in the pressure moment they just didn't make the right decision. So there was some pretty average decision making, I thought, from both teams, but St. Peter's in the end coming home, staying home rather, to win an absolute nail-biter and to clinch the league, all but clinch the league in this encounter, because Royal have a mountain to climb. We'll talk about that in the next couple of minutes as well. Let's look at Royal College versus Isipatana, a game that was expected to be real fast and open, but it wasn't, unfortunately. Yellow cards dominating that game. There should have been one red for a challenge in the air as well, and it's unfortunate that referees are dishing out yellows willy-nilly, but at the same time they're not giving out the reds when they need to be given out. And sometimes it's not often that red cards are given out, but when they are given out, they should be given out. They really do need to be given out, and that's something that was a little bit of an unfortunate blip in that game. But Royal coming back, they were very physical as usual and just pummeling away at this Isipatana College side. They were always going to yield in that second half. They were always going to give. The dam was going to break, and that's exactly what happened. They scored early points with that 6 points, but in the end, they couldn't come back in the second half. They had no answer to Royal's physicality. 19 points to 6 was how Royal won the Major Milroy Fernando Trophy. But you could see that Royal had a little bit of a blip in their intensity as well. After that intensity of the Bradby last week and having lost that game, they took a little bit of time to pick themselves up, and I'm sure they'll find their momentum in this training week with a big game coming up next week, which is ultimately their title decider. It's all in their hands. Let's talk about Science and Wesley as well. That game was a big game that Wesley were expected to win, and expected not just to win but give themselves a chance of going into 4th position and give themselves another crack at going into 3rd position if they beat Trinity later on in the week. But unfortunately, I thought they had too much of an eye on Trinity College and took their eye off Science College, and as a result of that changed a host of players, lots of inexperienced players in that lineup, and Science College took advantage, and it was 26 points to 21, another nail-biter in the end, but just not enough gas in the tank for Wesley College, with some of their best players sitting out of that game, and that's something that I'm sure they are going to rue for a while. It was a really big chance for them to go up to 4th place and get their just desserts for this season. They have played really well without being one of the top-ranked teams, and I think that was really unfortunate that they dropped this game. It wasn't even expected to be a banana skin, but unfortunately for them, they took it a little bit too lightly, and it just goes to show you've got to respect every opponent. You've got to take each game as it comes. Let's talk very briefly about St. Thomas's and Trinity as well. St. Thomas's probably didn't deserve to be in the lead that they were in at 11 points to 7 at halftime. It was a try that they scored under the nose, literally, of Russian Bandaranayaka. They're sneaking up behind him to touchdown when Bandaranayaka was waiting for the ball to roll into touch and goal. But Trinity responded well, as they did at the Bradby Shield as well, and came back. A superb try from Janidu Ratnayaka just before halftime, and then the floodgates opened once again. 17 points to 11 probably flatters St. Thomas's a little bit, because Trinity had all this game in the bag in this second half, and St. Thomas's really need to find a team that can take them through the full 70 minutes of a game, and Trinity seem to have that bench strength, and coming up to Wesley next week, that's going to be an important one for them.
Live scores දැනගන්න ThePapare.com වෙත පිවිසෙන්න.
Let's look at the numbers before we come up to the final weekend of the season. The numbers, of course, brought to you courtesy of stats.thepapare.com. All the numbers from this week as well as the weeks before, and of course next week when we go into the conclusion. We have St. Peter's sitting pretty at the top, 45 points they have, but look at the games column. They've scored one game, they've played one game more than Royal and St. Joseph's, who will meet each other in the next week. So both those teams have a chance of one of those teams has a chance, and that's Royal, of overhauling St. Peter's. We'll wait to see how that goes. St. Joseph's may come into 2nd place. They have a chance if they beat Royal with a bonus point and deprive Royal of 2 bonus points. They have a chance to come into 2nd place. So there's something to play for them as well. And then we have St. Thomas's, who somehow have managed to sneak their way into 4th place, despite probably being not as good as Isipatana, Wesley and Trinity in patches that have come up behind them. So though of those teams, Isipatana have finished their game, so they can't go any higher, but the game between Wesley and Trinity will decide who will climb up a little bit further on in that table. Both those teams really don't deserve to be 6 and 7. Science College will be really happy with that win that they snuck over Wesley as well. They've moved a little bit closer, points tally looking a bit more respectable for them. Let's look at our top points and try scorers. At the moment, Kavindana Pereira, he would have loved a chance to score against Science College as well, and Tenuka Nanayakkara, both on 7 tries, and they top our try scoring table. And Tenuka Nanayakkara with that all-important conversion in the final, penalty conversion rather, in the final moment of that Joe Pete encounter. He's on 82 points at the moment and has scored a few tries as well, so he's got an all-round game going to him, does Nanayakkara. So let's look at the permutations for the league. We have St. Peter's who've played all their games. They don't have anything more. They can't do anything. They just have to sit and watch this final weekend, whether they're going to be league champions or whether they're not. Royal have it in their own hands. Royal are going for their third successive league title. If they achieve it, it will be the first time that that has been done in this 21st century. If St. Peter's win, it will be the first time that they win in 9 years. So it's almost a decade-long gap for them since they were the last league champions. So very, very important weekend for both these teams because they are on the cusp of history. So let's look at what happens. If Royal win and Royal win with a bonus point, they win the league, no questions asked. If Royal don't win with a bonus point and they just manage to beat St. Joseph's, then they tie with St. Peter's, and because of the league game between those two teams, the head-to-head game between Peters and Royal, St. Peter's won that game. So as a result of that, St. Peter's will be crowned champions of the league. St. Joseph's, of course, only have second place to play for. If they beat Royal handsomely with a bonus point and deprive Royal of bonus points in the losing cause, they will end up in second place. So those are the possibilities for first and second in this league. Let's look at the matchups now. Finals week fixture, we have Royal College taking on St. Joseph's at the Royal College Sports Complex. So remember, St. Joseph's away from home. Favourites Royal, favourites for the game. Are they favourites for the league? We'll have to wait and see which St. Joseph's side turns up. Now that they know they have no chance of the league, do they drop in confidence? Do they ebb? Or do they come out and show that we were just as good a team as anybody else and we deserve to win this league as well? Do they come out firing or do they dip in form? That's the question that needs to be asked at Royal versus St. Joseph's at the complex at 4 p.m. on the 29th of June. Another game a little bit across town. We have Wesley taking on Trinity. That will be at the Sukatadasa Stadium. And that's an important one as well because neither of these teams will be too familiar with the Sukatadasa Stadium. Wesley, probably being in Colombo, will get a chance to train there more often. It is their home game. Trinity will be coming down and playing at Sukatadasa. I don't think any of these boys would have played there in a long, long time. So that's going to be an important factor in this game as well. A nice wide pitch there though. So both teams like to run, so it'll be an interesting tri-fest, I do think, if this game is anything. So that's going to be an important one. Both of those teams currently at 6 and 7, looking to climb a little bit further up on the table. The highest they can get to is 5th place. So let's wait and see whether anyone will be able to do that. So that will bring an end to the league season. But of course, we'll be back with the breakdown with a much anticipated weekend upcoming for you. All those games live on ThePapare.com. So don't forget to tune in to Dialogue TV or ThePapare.com, of course, as we bring you that final weekend of schools rugby. The Peterite fans will be chewing on their fingernails. Royal fans will be anticipating 3 in a row. So don't forget to join us as we come onto you live and exclusive. If you want to stay up to date with all the sporting action in Sri Lanka and around the world, don't forget to subscribe to the Papare's YouTube channel, youtube.com/ThePapare Official. Don't forget to press the bell button and subscribe below.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos like this. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for our latest content.
Sri Lanka lose another wicket, and that brings the total to 98.
Let's get together and cheer our Lions to victory. Let's rally behind our team at the Cricket World Cup.
We want a 6!
With Coca-Cola, the drink of togetherness.